A very good evening, my dear Silent Rose family. For today's reflection, I wanted to reflect with all of you the story of David, not when he was a great king, but rather when he was a small little shepherd's boy. In a place where some of the strongest men in the nation were trying to fight off this mammoth of a man, Goliath, who was a Philistine, God finally brought victory through a simple little scrawny boy. And his name was David. So, my dear friends, if you really think about that moment as David went up against Goliath with his catapult and stones, I always wonder what must have been running through his mind. I know if I were in David's shoes, I would be terrified and shaking in my shoes. But David was different because David did not let his fear pull him down. He most importantly did not only rely on his abilities. His faith and his hope and his strength, everything came from the Lord. David went up to Goliath with the conviction that God and David's faith in God was much, much, much larger than the fear in his heart for Goliath. And my dear friends, it was his surrender and trust in God's plan that brought him to success, and he was able to defeat the mighty Goliath. My dear friends, as I heard this story, it reminded me of a few verses from the book of the prophet Jeremiah. The reading is specifically from chapter 17, verses 5 to 10. And these verse talks about two kinds of people. One is the man who trusts in human beings. And this is how the verse goes. Cursed is the man who trusts in human beings, who seeks his strength in flesh, whose heart turns away from the Lord. My dear friends, many of us are guilty of this in different parts or points in our lives. Sometimes we rely so much on the tangible and possible things in front of us. We think that it is the people around us who are able to find the solution to our problems. Now, unfortunately, scripture says that the future does not look very great for such a person. Instead, Jeremiah says, this is how you should be. The prophet says, blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, whose hope is the Lord. He is like a tree planted beside the waters that stretches out its root to the stream. It fears not the heat when it comes. Its leaves stay green. In the year of drought it shows no distress, but still bears fruit. My dear friends, what a beautiful contrast that is. And what God is trying to reveal to us through these words is that all we need to do is to surrender our lives to Him and to just trust God that God has got your best intentions in His heart. All you need to do is to rely more on God, surrender to God instead of relying on human flesh or the help that you can get from other people. And so, my dear friends, today's reflection is an invitation to all of us to not rely on the human spirit that is in front of us. Instead, rely on God. Trust Him to look into every little desire in your heart and to do what's best for you. Have a blessed day, dear friends. God bless.